Welcome to Uncopyable Women in Sales. If you're looking for actionable insights and real-world tools to turbocharge your sales starting tomorrow, well, you're in the right place. Your host, Kay Miller, earned the affectionate nickname Muffler Mama when she sold more automotive mufflers than anyone else in the world. In this podcast, Kay will talk to another superstar woman in sales as they reveal uncopyable strategies you can use to rack up more leads, snag dream clients, and take your sales numbers through the roof. Stay tuned and get ready to make more sales and how about this? More money.
Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Sydney.cox. Sydney is a senior district manager with ADP in Nashville, Tennessee. She graduated from the University of Tennessee just a year and a half ago, and now she holds the company's record in the Tennesse Region for being the fastest to achieve both district manager as well as senior district manager. Sydney, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on today and getting an interview going and get to talk a little bit about everything. So thank you again for having me.
It's totally my pleasure. And as you know, I had your mom on the podcast, Mindy Cox, and she is the lead interior designer for the Rev Recreation Group. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct. She wears a lot of hats, but that's definitely her main hat.
Her title. And then also she and your dad, it sounds like, started a family business called Apex Custom Furniture. And
Yeah.
you've worked a little bit in that too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Our manufacturing business that my parents started 3 years ago. So I definitely work in that also on the side, aside from my main career too.
And so for those who aren't familiar with all these companies and terms, this is in the recreational vehicle industry, but we're talking super high-end RVs, right? I mean, I've gotten to know that market fairly well, and it's really amazing what kinds of RVs are available out there if you have the money.
Yes, definitely luxury motorhomes. She's been in that industry for 30 years now altogether. So definitely have the experience and expertise all combined. So yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed talking with her. And after the interview, she said, well, if you want to talk to another superstar saleswoman, you need to talk
Aw.
to my daughter. So here we are. And I know that you are a recent college graduate. You went to the University of Tennessee and you said you graduated in 2022. So just a really short time ago. And since then, you've taken on a sales career. You work for ADP, which I'm going to ask you to explain a little bit more about that company and what you do. And you've gone from entry-level DM to DM and now senior DM. DM meaning district manager, which is a record-breaking journey in your area, right?
Yes, absolutely. In the Tennesse region. So everybody starts out as an associate district manager. And then you move on to district manager and then onto my position, senior district manager. And we do have one more level above, but that was all during my first year at ADP. So was able to break a couple records there within the Tennesse region. And yeah, so it's been a very quick but exciting journey so far.
Well, congratulations. I'm very proud of you, as I know your mom is. So tell us a little bit about ADP.
Yeah. So ADP is a human capital management company. So we do everything within, like, for example, my area of expertise is small businesses. So anywhere from 1 to 49 employees. Obviously, ADP spans a lot of other industries and larger employee sizes. But for me specifically, it's that small business world and helping them with payroll, HR, benefit integration. So really providing them with technology to help them focus on their business more and spend less time on back office processes.
Right. So businesses that don't have a huge team or staff or infrastructure, I assume, is who you can serve the best?
Yeah. So it can be anywhere from 1 employee up to 49. So there really isn't like a specific number or range outside of that. Everybody needs more time on their table when they have a small business. So it's definitely nice to kind of help streamline that for all of those business owners.
So let's step back a little bit into your college career, because I know you had an interesting transition and I got such a kick out of that. So why don't you tell us how that played out?
Yeah, growing into college, I actually got accepted into the nursing program at the University of Tennessee and was very interested in really mostly just nutrition, and anything kind of sciencey was just, I think, more of like a hobby focus of mine. But I then realized 2 years in that based on my personality and talking with people and other professors, that I probably wasn't where I needed to be, regardless of whether I was excelling in it or not, and made the transition over to marketing with a concentration in sales.
And I was interested to hear that, that University of Tennessee actually has a sales program. So that's very cool. And tell us about what your professor said about being in nursing versus marketing or sales is where you landed.
Oh, yeah. So, I had one professor. He was Professor Van Dorselier, and he actually worked at P&G for 30 years and just made the transition kind of out of sales into a professor role to just go into a teaching role, and wanted to kind of, do something a little bit less strenuous, but still be involved. And so I took his sales class because, like I said, that was my concentration. You have to take 3 at the University of Tennessee for that. I went up to him and I was talking to him about, I think I'm just going to go into marketing. And, he sat with me and we had our one-on-one professor talk, and he was like, you know what? I disagree. And I think that based on just sitting here and talking with you and like your wants and needs in a career, that sales is probably the way that we need to get you to go. And he was like, I think I'm going to be failing as a professor if I can't get you into sales. So that's kind of how that went. And I was like, all right, I trust you. And so started looking for sales roles from then on.
Right. Well, he made a very good call. And I think that it's interesting how many people and women, I talk to more women, but people who never really expected to be in sales. Some of them don't even think of themselves as salespeople, but then they somehow fall into it or are advised to get into it like you did and love it. I mean, you said something in one of our correspondences. You can manage your own time. You take total responsibility for the money that you earn. What is it that you love about sales?
It's mostly just the control over my own success. So instead of waiting on somebody to give me that promotion or relying on others, it was just nice to know that my hard work directly correlated with getting promotions and compensation for that. So I think that was a big motivator for me. It's almost like you're working for yourself in a way. And if you're self-motivated, I think it's definitely like a great way to go for yourself if you can, work through that and kind of go into this career.
Right. I have a sales background, of course. I loved all the different people that you would meet and the impact that you can have on their business and their lives too. Of course, I suppose both of those apply to nursing, but sales, there's something very rewarding about that. It's interesting that you transitioned from nursing to sales because I know your mom started out and she was going to be a veterinarian, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think that was her original focus. But I mean, I think everybody just has to be open to change and kind of open to other people's advice also, and really look inside and determine whether that really is the best path for you. She did the same thing with veterinarian. Then she went to interior design and kind of had a guide there. I believe one of her professors also, she spoke with them and changed her mind. So I think it's just, taking the time to get others' opinion who have more wisdom than you or experience, and looking on the inside and saying, okay, what makes me happy? And also what can lead to better success for me based on my natural born abilities or skills or anything like that.
The phrase that comes to mind is you don't know what you don't know, right? Especially as a young person, you have your opinions or what you think about things, and you don't have all the information. Not that I have all the information, but you definitely don't when you're starting out. So we talked a little bit about what you attribute your sales success to, the different qualities that you have. And you said that you are blessed to be a naturally positive and sunny person, which is easy to see when I look at you, and not everyone will be seeing us, but that's a huge advantage because sales can be tough. I asked you, how do you keep that sunny attitude? And tell us what you said about metrics.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of salespeople tend to focus on maybe quota or reaching certain metrics like we were talking about. And they really kind of get a little bit too bogged down into that. And I tell my boss every single day, I'm like, you know what? I don't even look at that if I'm being honest. I just wake up, I go do my job, and I go do the activity. And what results so far has been really awesome. And so I think that if you're just making sure that you're keeping a positive mindset and being really optimistic and also just not worrying about the pieces that can be stressful or bog you down, then you'll end up with high results.
And we talked about the fact that the other alternative is what you do is focusing on the activities, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We always say, specifically at my office, it's all about attitude and activity. My VP, Jansen Wagner, literally says that I think every week. He's like, it's all about attitude and activity. As long as you have a good attitude and high activity, you'll see great results.
Well, I hope he listens to the podcast so he can hear that it's definitely sinking in.
Oh, yeah.
Him, right?
Yes. He has great advice. He's been in it, I believe, like 8 years now. So definitely great to have mentors as well who, give you those little tips and small pieces to hold on to throughout the day.
Right. And, you had a professor who took enough interest in you to notice that you'd be awesome in sales. It sounds like you've got a great team now that is very supportive. So that really helps because, one thing that struck me, and I was listening to a podcast today about how sometimes sales management does not treat their salespeople very well. And so we talk about this whole way that we want to interact and empathize and help our customers. But then sometimes we turn around and some companies internally just don't walk that talk, right? When it comes to employees. So
yeah. I definitely agree. I think I've heard of some other friends who kind of went into sales. I just ran into one actually yesterday who kind of made a transition to a different company because that's kind of the experience she was having. And it made me sad because honestly, I've had nothing but a positive experience with my leadership and them, being nothing but honestly supportive and like guiding me down the right path and wanting to see me successful. So I do think that leadership is definitely a big piece in sales. I think healthy competition too is a big thing as well. Instead of just being competitive, it has to be healthy competition as well.
That's right. And that kind of culture, shall we say, is not only the right thing to do, and it helps your salespeople feel better, but helps the bottom line anyway. So it's not just altruistic behavior, but like you said, your friend is actually will or has left this company because of the management situation. And maybe he or she loves what they sell. They love everything else. But for any sales managers listening, duly noted, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So you talked about selling your customers who are mostly, we say small businesses, but I think the definition of small businesses, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's pretty high. So there are a couple points of resistance to making a purchase. And you had a couple key things that you mentioned. And one I thought was really interesting is urgency, because a lot of times, I have a lot of things I want to do, but I procrastinate and I don't do it until there's a deadline. So how do you build that into your process?
Yeah. So I think obviously a lot of people procrastinate, especially, my family had small businesses, so I can attest to this too. I think, you just are always wanting to deal with the most important problem that's in front of you. And so getting them to understand that, maybe it's a promotion or something we're running, like, we have dates where those really truly do expire. And so communicating that and making sure that you're really like staying in front of those business owners and like I said, building urgency around whether it's promotions or just letting them know like, hey, you really need to get this done. Maybe you're out of compliance, at least in my industry, or like maybe your employees aren't having the greatest experience with the current like program that you're using. So I think just making sure that you're staying in front of them on whether it's in person or over the phone. And I've had so many small business owners who have told me, like, thank you so much for staying on top of me because I probably wouldn't have gotten this done had you not. And so I really think that they truly appreciate you guiding them down the right path and also staying in front of them too.
Today's podcast is sponsored by the acclaimed book, Uncopyable Sales Secrets, How to Create an Unfair Advantage and Outsell Your Competition by Kay Miller. If you want to make more sales, you need to read this book. We'll even get you started with a free download of the first 2 chapters. Go to uncopyablesales.com/chapters to grab this offer right now.
I love that take on it. The opportunities that they're missing or the downside of waiting. And as you said, these small business owners or any business owner, as you know, as I know, we've got so many things on our plate, and what we think is the most urgent rises to the top. But that might not include what's the most important. So it sounds like you do a really good job of helping them see how important that is to their business and their success. So
absolutely. I think too, guiding them on that as well and reassuring them that I'm going to be there through the process is huge, and being empathetic. I think empathy is the biggest thing too in sales, and understanding that they have things going on. So I think that's kind of another way too that they feel more comfortable to move forward, is by making sure that you're communicating. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to make sure we get through this and get it done together. Is the biggest way for me too.
Right. Yes, I think that is when they know that you care and that you are going to stick around and be there. That is huge. So I am curious. So once you sell a customer, are you still involved in a reselling of a contract basis, or how does that go from the time of the sale?
So usually it is just a one-time sale. We have like an award-winning customer service team. They are around 24/7. However, I still do, especially locally here in Nashville, which is where I'm at, I still am a local resource for them, and always, of course, want to make sure that they have the greatest experience. We also have programs in place for our clients, so that, if they refer friends and stuff to me, they get rewarded in certain different ways, up to free payroll for a year and, a lot of different really fun and cool stuff that we have. So we really try to give back to our clients in that way. And if they really need me, I'm there whenever I'm needed, because I know that, when you need help with something, especially with a small business and people getting paid, you need to have somebody ready to help you. So
right.
I still do continue on with that. And then as their business grows, of course, I can help them in a lot of other ways, on top of just payroll, whether that, employee handbooks or getting insurance for their employees or retirement plans, that kind of fun stuff. So we really grow with people. And so that's why we keep up the relationship too.
That's great. One of my proudest moments when I was back in the day, when I was in outside sales, which I've been in sales my whole life, but my early years were in outside sales. And one of my customers wrote a letter. I didn't even solicit this, to my boss, and said that Kay has become an asset to our company. We don't know what we would do without her.
Wow.
And I know it's like almost teared up, but obviously that's what you are for your customers too. It doesn't sound transactional. You're saying, okay, I'm here for you when you need it. And as they grow, you can be that, more informed expert consultant that can help them know what they want. So that's great. Do you have any problem ever dealing with fear? I talk in my book, which I know you just got, so you haven't read it yet, but I talk about my issue with fear of calling on new customers, especially being a young woman back in the day, which was many days ago. And it's surprising how many salespeople I talk to that say that, yeah, that is an issue. Now, you seem very self-assured. I know that you have some great advantages, but do you ever deal with that? And how do you overcome that if you do?
I think sometimes maybe like a little bit of butterflies for sure. I think everybody maybe gets it a little bit, but I think just shifting your mindset to the worst they can say is no is honestly a huge thing that I say in my head on a day-to-day basis. Is it's like, why not walk in there? The worst they can say is no, just go on to the next. So it's just kind of, maybe getting past the fear of no. So I'm not afraid of no, because to me, no is maybe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks or, whatever. So I think just changing your mindset on that and reminding yourself it's okay to be told no too. That's your job. Not everybody's going to say yes. Everybody would be in sales if everybody said yes. So definitely just being okay with the word no, for sure.
I like that too. And another point that I like to talk about is that if you never hear no, then you're obviously not reaching or stretching, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that too.
Like you said, if everyone said yes, you wouldn't need salespeople.
No.
And, yeah, right. I know. And if your product was the most perfect and the cheapest and whatever, all those advantages, well, then you can just go on the internet and order it. But I think hearing no is a good sign. And the other thing that you said I really like, and I want to point out, is that you said at this time. If they say no right now, that doesn't mean forever. And if they're busy or distracted, it might just come out as a real abrupt no. But as you have found out, stick with it. You might get a yes later, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's going to tell your customer a lot about you when you have what it takes to follow up. Do you have any tools that you use that you could point out to help other people in sales?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think everybody probably has Outlook. So not to get into the weeds of Outlook itself, but I definitely utilize a lot of different organizational tools like color coding, and even just changing up my day-to-day, I think is huge for me. So I think a lot of people will focus on certain things for too long. So when I'm talking about activities, I'm talking about maybe going and dropping in on, new business owners, or going and having meetings with accountants, which is who I usually work with. And so if I spent my whole Tuesday, only going and dropping in on clients, that can get a little bit mundane and boring, and you might lose some energy. So with my organization and like my color coding, I want everything to be all spread out, and I don't want to spend a whole day too focused on one thing. Because I think a dynamic work schedule with this type of personality and a person in sales needs that to be changed up to really keep their high energy going. So I'll go see one of my favorite accountants if I'm a little bit down or something, or, go see one of my favorite clients, just to really boost up that energy and be ready to kind of move on to the next. And then tools, I think honestly, just a daily voice in my head, like I said, and just taking, a positive step every single day. And like you said, overcoming fear. And I really just think it's positive self-talk is one of my biggest things. And if you are talking negative to yourself, your brain's going to believe it. Your subconscious is going to believe it. So every single day, I think you just have to wake up and again, talk positive and talk nicely to yourself. And I think that helps you have a much better step forward every single day.
I like that a lot. I just talked to somebody I'm going to be interviewing in a couple weeks, and she's a realtor, super successful. And she said, what you say to yourself matters. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about this with her when she comes on, I'm sure. But when we were emailing back and forth, she said, yeah, I have a couple appointments this afternoon and I'm going to kill it or nail it. Yeah. She didn't say kill it. I'm going to nail it. Yeah. And I just thought that was so fun that she just came out and told me that. And obviously, guess who else is listening? She's listening. So what we say to ourselves matters.
It does. It totally changes your whole mindset.
And I also like the fact that you say, hey, if you're having a bad day or a bad time, go see some customers who love you and who you've been successful with and see you as that. I mean, you seem like an extrovert. Are you an extrovert?
I definitely am an extrovert. I think I always have been, maybe even too extroverted.
There's no such thing.
School. Too much talking in school, that sort of stuff. But it seems to work in the career.
I don't think I got that actually, because I was a shy, good girl when I was a little girl. But so many successful people will point back to when they were kids and they got on their report card, they talk too much. Like my husband, little Stevie talks too much in class. Well, guess how much money he's made by being a speaker.
By talking.
That's right.
I know. it's funny how, I mean, it's just the normal school system and you have to be quiet. But I will say in my adult life, I have gotten better at listening, especially in this job. I want to talk because I'm so excited about my product. And I think sometimes if you sit there and we say word vomit to customers and don't really give them the chance to voice their needs or responses on what you're presenting, that can be a pretty difficult thing to overcome too. And you're not really meeting their needs if they aren't able to voice them. So that's something I have overcome quite a bit.
Some of the most successful salespeople I've talked to are extroverted, and I'm one of them too. I like to talk. So listening and not talking is really a discipline when it comes right down to it. If you feel comfortable enough, everyone likes to talk. Even introverted, quiet people like to talk about the things they care about and when they're comfortable. So I'm glad you brought that point up because, yes, I think extroverts are more drawn to sales, and yet we, of all people, have to really watch that.
Yes, our extroverted side can blow over. I think especially true when I meet with a client who is extroverted as well. We'll be building rapport for 30 minutes, and then I have to really take control of the meeting and be like, oh, wait, you know what we're here for? We'll be talking about dogs and everything else, the weather. I mean, who knows? But it's just funny how I kind of have to be really disciplined in that too and make sure I'm talking about what I should be.
There's the line where you have to be building rapport, and then you've got to make the switch to, like you said, getting down to business. So that's a distinction that's very important. And just as a consumer, and I'm sure you can relate, what is the biggest thing that we don't like about salespeople? They do all the talking. Like you said, word vomit. And sometimes it's because they're too pushy. And sometimes it's like you said, they're just really excited about the solution that they have and they know it would be right for us. And I quote my niece, who when she was little, my mom was babysitting her and said, Shauna, you need to pick up your clothes because we're going to go to the grocery store. And Shauna said, I don't like to be telled. And her little 3-year-old grammar. And so I transfer that to, we don't like to be sold. We don't like to
we don't.
be told what to do. We don't want to be sold. Yeah, we want given the information like you present to your customers. Here are the advantages of working with me. And here's the reason that you should start right now.
Yeah, I've really moved into too, like with my experience just in the last year and a half or a little bit over into a mentor role. So I do have mentees now. And I tell them every day, I'm like, you just need to be a human. And like, don't try to go in and have the perfect talk track or elevator pitch. Like, instead of, hi, I'm here with X company, you need to come in and say, hi, I'm Sydney, or hi, I'm Sarah, or hi, I'm, your name, and tell them about you. Say, I saw this business. It's such a cool business. Like, really just be a person and talk to them instead of going in and just word vomiting, like I said, all about maybe ADP or whatever company you work for. And that's immediately a red flag for people, and people immediately step back because they're like, I don't want to be sold. And, you might have the perfect solution for them, but your approach can change everything.
And, when you're building a rapport, you do have to reveal something about yourself. It can't just be listening either. As important as listening is, if I want to get to know Sydney as a human being, you're going to have to share something about who you are. And you do seem very open about that. We're almost out of time, but what is the mix of women and men in your company?
Oh, we're majority women.
Majority women. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have our first female CEO as well. Her name's Maria Black. We all very much look up to her. And I would say, I'm guesstimating, but I would say it's about 70% women at ADP. In our office specifically, I think we have about maybe 6 or 7 guys or actually it might be about 8 now out of like 35 reps. So, it's definitely more women, but it's been really awesome. I think women empowerment kind of is an awesome, topic, and it's great to really empower other women around yourself. But the guys, of course, too, are great. But yeah, definitely majority women and ADP specifically.
Interesting. But I think that is really good and something that I've seen changed since I got out of college many years ago, that women are more likely, like you're talking about, to help other women. And that's one of the things I want to do with this podcast. This information is great for men too, because
Absolutely.
I like to point out, I was the number one automotive muffler salesperson when I was with Walker Exhaust.
Mm-hmm.
And my competition was almost all men. So I think, well, why wouldn't the men want to learn this stuff? Because it works.
Yeah.
It's cool that you have a female CEO and that there's that culture promoting and supporting women and men. Like you said,
men, absolutely.
Like guys, it's great to have a mix. I really like
our VP's a guy, and he's had so many female reps, and he just like wears his heart on his sleeve. I'm telling you, and he's like gotten so used to, I think, just helping women grow in their career, and so the men are definitely necessary. They help keep us grounded and in a positive attitude and stuff too. So we definitely love the mix, but yeah, it's majority women at our company specifically.
Are you open to LinkedIn connections? What's the best way for people to find out more?
LinkedIn is definitely a good one. Email too, if you guys just want to, reach out and ask me questions about anything. I mean, obviously, I'm checking the email constantly. It is sydney.cox at adp.com.
The dot.
So,
well, It's been a pleasure. Your mom gave me a very good recommendation. And she's obviously, like I said, very proud of you for good reason.
Thank you so much, Kay. I'm so grateful to come on here. And like you said, I'm excited to see where I go to in 6 or 9 months. So hopefully we'll be back on and kind of see where that goes. But I appreciate you as well.
We'll be watching.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncopyable Women in Sales, your source for secrets you can use to make more sales. Check the show notes for links and contact information. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please spread the word by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. You can always learn more by going to uncopyablesales.com/podcast. Until next time, go out and supercharge your sales like a true uncopyable rock star.